you, and well done for what you're doing. Is that your
Thank you.
artwork at the back of you then?
Huh?
Is that your artwork at the back of you?
Oh, yes. In the back of me, yes.
Oh,
I'm terrible at hanging up my own stuff. So this was out of desperation because I was doing Zoom videos. I'm
yeah.
not having an empty wall. Just got to put something back there. So,
Okay.
and I have thousands, like literally over hundreds of posters that I could have plastered all over the wall. But I guess I'm just not. I don't. I'm lazy. Could be laziness. Could be just
Oh,
indecisive. I don't know what to hang up. It'd be everything. So
okay.
yeah,
So you saw I sent you a whole lot of questions. So
I did. Yes.
I hope that's okay for you.
Oh
But
yeah.
once
Yeah.
we get in the
That's
flow, there'll probably be other questions anyway. So,
sure. Sure.
all
And that
right.
you'll
Cool.
have to let me know what time we have. Um, because I can some of the answers kind of lead into other concepts, like saying, but it's just if there's a perspective, or I guess if there's my perspective on something, it's generally just to make sure um, I'm defiant against expectations of I don't really have a set way, but I can tell you what works for me.
Well, that's fine. And then
Yeah.
you can just talk and talk. I'm quite happy. The video can go on for as long as we want, and
Okay.
then we can just take the best bits.
All
Yeah.
right.
But
All right.
thank you for doing this, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Yeah, good to
Okay.
meet
So
you.
your name is Marcus Williams.
That is true. Yeah.
How did you come up with Marcus the visual?
That happened. Oh man, I think that happened in 1999. I just got out of high school, and the idea of getting paid for art, um, spawned the concept. Well, obviously, I got to make business cards, and I have to call myself something. I don't want to just use my name. That's boring. So coming up with a brand, I think happened. I had a whole little mascot character, and she was it was something else then. It was actually called solid fluid creation effect. And I was like, cool, I like the character, but someone talked to me like, what does that mean? And I don't get it. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm really trying to say that my ideas are fluid and I can form them into something tangible
Mhm,
with my art.
mhm,
And like, okay, so you're saying your vision is what your brand is. Like,
mhm.
it's good. It's a good analogy. Yeah, yeah, I like that. Yes, my vision. And so there's like, well, okay, put vision into your name. I was like, I don't like the word vision though. What about visual? All right, I'll do that. So it formed out of a conversation, but yeah, it was just someone was like, I don't understand solid fluid, but I understand something about vision, visual. Got it. All
And
right, we'll do
solid
that.
fuel has other connotations anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But I
good.
still like the character. The character was, I think, the Terminator from Terminator 2, the liquid metal guy.
Oh.
I was like, oh, this is so cool. She's so shiny. It was like the shiny character, and I was like, yeah. And I had it on my business card, but no one understood what I did. So
Okay, I see. All
yeah.
right. All right. So when did you first get into art? How old were you?
Oh, well, I can, and that's one of those questions that I usually compound with. I've been drawing since I could pick up something to, write with. I just wasn't always good. And I dismissed the idea of talent. People have this assumption that, oh, you're so talented and you're so blessed. And I was like, no, no, I was terrible for a long time. And I knew it. I just didn't care because I enjoyed, drawing so much.
That's
But I
amazing.
mean, as early as 3, I was drawing on my furniture in my room and getting in trouble for it. Um, I thought it was I thought it was a great, addition to the furniture for me to draw characters on it.
But your
But
parents
yeah,
didn't
my
agree.
mom, yeah, my mom wasn't too happy about it. But yeah, as early as I could, that's when she started drawing me paper left and
Mhm.
right. She's like, as long as you don't draw on the walls or the furniture, here's some paper. But I just
Oh.
I wasn't skilled. I was not naturally skilled. It took years, maybe into middle school, when I actually started to get my skill level to a point where I can draw what I thought. or what someone asked me to draw. But I enjoy drawing all through my years.
Do you think as that skill level improved, it was because of the continued practice or because there was input from teachers or influencers?
I'd say both. I was absolutely inspired by everything on television and video. I was an avid video game player, so I would take the game manuals from, let's say, Street Fighter, and they were full of character art. All of the characters, I would draw those to my best ability, but it kept me enamored with the idea of character art. I thought it was so cool looking, and I'm like, wow, how can they draw like that? Amazing. And so I would try and try, but I would fail. But it was fun to try. But animation, Disney, Looney Tunes, Ninja Turtles. I drew Ninja Turtles, I think, every day in 3rd grade.
Wow.
To the point where my teacher called my parent. My mom was like, he's very smart, but he just draws too much. So
Really?
it was that kind of thing. The inspiration, and I didn't have a formal teacher. I just reverse engineered to the best of my ability. So when people ask, am I self-taught? I say, well, I don't like that term. I understand what they're asking. But I was influenced. To me, self-taught would be you're in a vacuum creatively, and there is no influence. There is no one teaching you, and you self-teach yourself. You self-instruct. Autodidact is the actual term. I didn't know what that word meant. Autodidact is someone that can educate themselves outside of a classroom and obtain skill. And I didn't do that. I was influenced by everything. And then when I finally got my hands on comics, that blew my mind to the possibilities of a different, dynamic art style that I couldn't achieve at the time. And I was like watching Bruce Lee, in a street fight. Like, oh my gosh, how's this so amazing? How did he do that? And then trying to chase after Bruce Lee from afar. He didn't teach me, Bruce Lee didn't teach, is my sensei, but I looked at him fight from afar. Hey, let me try that, so it wasn't self-taught as much as it was so influenced by amazing art and character art that it drove me to practice. But I had, my reference right in front of me.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you said when you first started, you were terrible at it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's encouragement for the rest of us who might actually be rubbish at art, but like art, but just can't do it very well. So
right.
Maybe we should be continuing to practice and continuing to learn.
Yeah, the funniest thing to me, and I said to everyone that asked, how do I get better? As if it's some sort of strange thing. People understand martial arts. They understand if you want to start playing the piano or the guitar, they have a concept of, well, of course you're not going to be good the first time you play it. The first time you try to play guitar, you're going to be, like you said, rubbish. You're going to be terrible. But they get the concept of, well, you're going to have to practice. We're going to have to pay a tutor. We're going to have to practice every day. They get that. I've had more than enough people say, well, I tried drawing one, and I was terrible at it. I was like, that's not how it works. You have to treat it like an instrument. Or I said, if you wanted to learn, karate tomorrow, you would walk into a dojo and speak to an instructor who would say, okay, good. We're going to start with what? The basics. And you're going to build your basics until you graduate to some better basics, and then we'll get to something more important. And it's just a gradual process. People get those progressional skills. They just think art is something you have or don't have. It's so curious to me why people have that understanding. I think it's because most people don't get to see art, being created. Artists don't often, we're not performing, talents, or it's not a performing skill mostly. You sit quietly to yourself, and it's like meditation more than anything. It's not great. It's not fun to watch unless you're watching it in I guess double speed, and that's where you get these process videos on YouTube. You can see 2 hours go by in 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. But
Yeah.
in real life, it's like 5 hours. So it's not that.
I hear you. I hear you.
So I
Okay.
think, yeah, because people don't get to see it and it's not as entertaining as a musician,
Yeah.
practicing for 2 hours. You can hear it, you can enjoy it. It's like,
Yes.
oh, okay, I
Yes.
see you
Yeah.
getting better. You can do better on that part. So, yeah.
What about the art you did in your early years, which you're telling me wasn't that good? Have you still got copies of it?
I have some. They've been lost to the annals of moving and time, and I didn't really know how to preserve art in my youth. So, but I do have uh, a good stash. When I was married for 14 years, and I remember hoarding, and it would always be in some little plastic tub. All of my drawings from my adolescence that I still had, and we're talking seventh grade, sixth grade, stuff like that. And yeah, I still have it. It's in my basement. I need to
Good.
really put it into some sort of book so people can understand. Yeah, I was not phenomenal, or I don't want to consider that. I just wasn't skilled enough. I
Okay.
didn't understand anatomy, didn't understand all of the things, the elements of art, perspective, and I just love drawing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I still have some of it.
Well, I think as your fame is growing, at some point those early art pieces might be worth a pretty penny. So you
I probably won't be alive, but when that happens,
you think so? Oh no.
yeah, I think I'll definitely create an art book that showcases it. Because people have been bugging about an art book or some sort of collective piece of
Definitely.
yeah, of my art. I'm gonna do that, but I think, yeah, including that will be important because um, I don't walk around, travel with the concept that I'm somehow special because of my artistic skill. There's millions of beautiful and phenomenal that can do things that blow me away,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that, and so I'm humble on purpose
Yeah.
because there's Bruce Lee still walking around out there, and they're very active and they're very visible. So yeah.
Well, I hear you. And I was going to say, my next question is, were there artists earlier on who inspire you, people that you can name, and who are your favorite artists now?
Sure. I'd say it's harder to name for the video game phase because a lot of the illustrators in, I say Japanese games, you don't see their signature or, their credit. Or maybe I just didn't know it in those games or in the game manual. But, later years, like I said, Disney was a huge inspiration. Those, and I used to love the behind the scenes of Disney animated films where they'd show the sketchy lines and it wasn't clean. That actually excited me way too much as a kid. I was like, wow, that's amazing. It doesn't have color on it. This is great. Um, but I mean, once I got my hand on my first comic book was given to me. It was an X-Men comic, but it was focusing on Wolverine, and I had no idea who Wolverine was. You hear as a kid, you have like Spider-Man underwear and Superman bed sheets, things like that as a kid, but I didn't own any comics. So a neighbor kid, teenager, gave me my first X-Men comic, and he was like, what about Wolverine? I was like, who's Wolverine? And he looked at me like I said some sort of curse word. He's like, what are you talking about? Wolverine's awesome. And it blew my mind, like I said. But the artist at the time was Jim Lee on the X-Men. He was the rock star artist of the early '90s or late '90s, I guess, in Marvel Comics. And Jim Lee kind of created this stylized, just amazing, gritty kind of look for the X-Men that really changed and affected the way people viewed the X. That was their rock star time, and I strived with everything in my power to draw like him. I remember a kid wearing a T-shirt at school, and it blew my mind. I'm like, "Whoa, his art's on T-shirt. That's amazing." So,
And now your art is on t-shirt.
yes, yeah.
Whoa.
But no, so Jim Lee, and I can say a lot of the comic artists I can name as I progressed in school. So after Jim Lee, Spawn came out, and that was created by Todd McFarlane, and he drew the first few episodes. Todd McFarlane, but then he hired an artist, Greg Capullo, that even made his style look, like chump change. Greg Capullo's style influence, and it was really dark and gritty because that comic was a very dark story. My mom, of course, didn't filter. I wish, she should have, because Spawn is about a man going to hell and, coming back and becoming some sort of soldier for hell. But he fights it. He fights it. But the art was so dark and gritty, and it was such a departure, even from X-Men. And I started drawing everything dark and gritty. I remember the only person concerned was my English teacher, because she asked me to draw like some teddy bear, and it was this dark and gritty environment and everything. And I tried to emulate every style that I was influenced by at the time. And she's like, Marcus, is everything okay? I was like, yeah, why? She's like, nothing. Okay. And I was like, oh, the teddy bear. She must have thought I was crazy. No, it was just dark. It was a dark and gritty style. But from there, I'd say Capullo to Joe Madureira was, I think, my most impactful inspiration to comic art and just character art, period. He has such a very Western and Eastern combined style. He's very influenced by Japanese animation and the energy of that medium, and he combines it with the style of Western comic. Okay. So it looks and feels like something from Japanese animation, but it also has the aesthetic of, X-Men and traditional comic art. And that, I think, blew up the industry in another way. So Jim Lee had his Rockstar Day, and then Joe Mad. Joe Mad is his moniker, kind of, because people don't know how to pronounce his last name. Joe Mad became my new sensei, and I followed him, I think, the longest. I studied under his art through high school and even afterwards. So.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you're a fan of anime then?
Oh yes, absolutely. It's so weird that to hear people. I understand it because it's a different culture, but I'm like, how could you not be a fan of such, immaculate animation if you just don't, you turn the sound off. Just look at it. It's just amazing.
Wow. That's a true artist talking there. Turn the sound off and just admire the art.
You don't need any words. Just watch it.
Okay, I see. So do you offer art lessons?
So that's one of those questions. Again, people have been bugging me about. I don't have time or that. Like, I'm not teachers are very, very unique people to me. They can do it every day, and they have the patience to do the same lessons every day or things like that. I have taught lessons before, like Comics 101, but I did it for about 6 weeks, just to kind of test my chops, see if I was able to do it. But right now, I'm kind of gearing up. I created a mobile for myself, Marcus the Visual. Oh. And I'm planning to actually put my art lessons and tutorials.
Oh, fantastic.
And that is going to where I can still have workshops. I think workshops are what I want to go towards because it's not an everyday thing. I can literally have live workshops maybe twice a month and try to gear it towards younger audiences and, everything with 14 and up.
Yeah.
And then that's where I'll try to house a lot of my education and tutorials. Because there is I really truly believe there's a right way to practice and there is a hard way to practice, which is you in a vacuum and you kind of just hope you get better. And that's practice. Telling someone to practice is not appropriate. That's why there's music, teachers, there's martial art instructors, because you kind of need someone to guide you to say, this is what you need to do to get better.
Yes, yeah.
Right now. Don't try to leap and start doing backflips and think you're going to be a good martial artist. there's basics and there's a structure to getting to where you're going. So yeah.
Okay. So are you selling originals of your work or prints?
I do that occasionally since COVID-19 hit. Usually I'll sell my originals at like comic conventions, or I'll draw some sketches in advance before going to a comic convention. And then I'll let people know online, hey, I'm going to be at this show. You can buy my originals. But I haven't drawn on paper this whole year. That's really weird. But I do sell my poster as art print. So
yes.
this one is this is a large one. So that's on the door. That's like 24 by 30.
Yeah.
But mostly 11 by 17 posters.
Because your art is mostly digital art. You're mostly doing it on the computer now. So when did you switch from paper to the computer screen?
I think that happened also back in '99. I got my first copy of Photoshop once I graduated high school. And my sole mission was to try to make my art look like comic art. I'm like, how do they color underneath the lines, or how do they color the comics, period? And the internet, YouTube had not been created by then. Remember, Google wasn't around yet. It was '99, so I kind of had to figure it out through trial and error and reading magazines and process. Back then there was like these little digital art magazines. It was like Photoshop tips and tricks. And I was in a Barnes and Noble bookstore. Just kind of, I never bought any. I just kind of looked and read and put it back. So, but it helped me at least to understand Photoshop enough to really
you didn't
say,
let anything stop you.
Yeah.
You went in there, you drunk in the information from the books, and then you left them, and you went home and you put it into action.
Yes.
You didn't sort of say, no, I can't get those books. You went in and you got the information.
I got the information. And I say it's a terrible oversight on their part. As a business, I'm like, all you had to do is just put some sample books on the shelf, man. Like, it's a terrible business model. Why would anyone buy a book? I could just come there and use it like a library.
Oh, well done, well done. So you sell your work on merch as well, I presume, yeah? T-shirts and other items?
I do.
Okay, yes. Great.
Yeah, I have a Rage On print on demand helps greatly for someone like me who, while I understand printing, I can screen print, I can heat press, some shirts into existence, but even ordering large quantity of shirts still opens up the side of I have to do fulfillment. If someone orders something, then I would have to package it up, put it all together and then take it to the mailbox or what have you. And I'm like, that's too much. That's too much right now. So order on demand sites like rageon.com is I have a Marcus the Visual shop there. And I don't have to see any of the fulfillment. I don't have to worry about customer service. They handle all of that. And then it's just, I get passive income throughout the months. So.
Okay, fantastic. Well done. And there is quite a big comic market, isn't there? Do you actually do any work for some comics, any part-time work for comics over there in America?
I do for individuals, maybe cover art. I'm trying to get out of comics in that regard. It's weird. I tell people I'm a character artist by trade. That is my passion. That's what keeps me drawing. I love comics. I love the medium of sequential art, but I am not a passionate comic artist. I do it out of obligation because I said I would, but it's a lot of work. People don't have, so many people have very little understanding of how much work goes into one comic book. It's about a 6-person job. You have a penciler, an inker, a colorist. Sometimes you have a flatter who puts the flat colors, and then you have a colorist that actually puts all the, nice pretty shadows and special effects. Then you have a letterer, someone that actually puts the word balloons on the page. and an editor and someone that formats the book sometimes. So it's supposed to be a team effort, but when I'm doing it all by myself, it's like running a triathlon, and then people saying, "Oh man, I'm glad you finished it. When's the next triathlon?" Like, let me rest, please.
I
Like,
hear
just
you. But maybe you could do one a year, one that you send out from your creation.
yeah. That's about the current speed for me. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. Um, yeah.
I hear there's one that you did. You created some characters recently, which when people write about it, keep crashing your website because everyone's coming to look. Tell us about it.
Um, yeah. So I'm a huge fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender. That was on Nickelodeon, the animated series, and they ended the animated series with Legend of Korra, and that was their last installment for the series. And many fans like me are like, yeah, I want more. So what's the next Avatar? What could the next Avatar series look like? And because I can create and I can draw, or I can present concepts. I didn't want to do a comic. That's too much work, like we just talked about. But I said, what if I just show some of my design for an African-like continent, and it's undiscovered in the Avatar universe, and that's where the next Avatar would be, born. So you have a new setting, a new continent, a new protagonist that has no knowledge of the history of the Avatar state. The animated series is based on a Chinese and or Asian themed uh, history and setting. So I was trying to come up with something that would be just as rich in diversity and history and culture. And I was like, well, Africa would be perfect, but it's based on African customs and cultures. And I would do something similar to what Wakanda did, which is, I would definitely draw inspiration from real life, countries in Africa
Yeah.
and cultures in Africa, and then try to kind of make this hodgepodge futuristic, but not too futuristic. It would be it would be set in the 2000s. Legend of Korra took place in the 1900s, so 100 years from there would be set around the 2000s. But because it's still very tribal and rich with African-like history, I would want to do what Wakanda did. They still walked it. They had roads, they had technology, and modern society. But if you weren't trying, if you let's say you've never been colonized, there's nothing wrong with wearing your ancestral, garments or having inspiration mixed in with technology. So, okay, the problem that I did that I think happened when I posted these concepts and these characters on social media. I added about 2 to 3 paragraphs of backstory for each character.
Oh,
This is the
fantastic.
Yeah, this is the problem. Because fans are so passionate about this, I would kind of world build in those 2 to 3 paragraphs, and it was enough to basically, lock into the fans. They just latched onto it. They were like, "I love all of this. I want more. Where's the rest of this? Who's the villain? Who's this?" And I was like, "No, no, no, no. I don't own. I don't have permission to do anything with this property. I'm just having fun, man, and I wanted to show my idea for the new world." And they're like, "No, no, do something." And I kid you not, this was maybe 3 years ago that I created the content for this. There are fans and there's people that follow me like, "Hey, I'm still waiting on that avatar." The main character is Abioye. Um, Abioye. And he was an earthbender who could precious metals, other precious. But gold is what started him on the journey because he could, metal bend gold. He was coveted by his, resident ruler of his land, his country, and he was chased after, sought after because he's valuable. You can technically make money from it. So he starts on the run, and I just had that whole scene. He meets Korra from the spirit realm when he actually does tap into the avatar state. And I drew that picture, and people are like, "Yep, I want it all. I want it all." Draw it. But it's very set in that foundation that I'm just a fan. I do a lot of fan art, but I draw because I can draw and create. I can show what I would like to see at a level of quality that is similar to the brand or the original creators that published the work.
Marcus, you've created new characters, so this is yours. Yep. Disney needs to come knocking on your door. Netflix needs to come knocking on your door. You can create a movie with this. You and a team, not just you and a team.
Right. I could, and there goes the problem as well, which is real fans of it and people that know the problem of how the industry kind of views and treats African American or African or Black and brown characters in mainstream media. The kind of unanimous, fear is if I did get picked up. This is a Nickelodeon brand. They don't have anything like this on their network. They've never had anything like this on the network. A majority Black cast. The only real show that actually did that and had success was not a kid's show. It wasn't. It was on Adult Swim. It was called The Boondocks. Boondocks was, wildly popular and very profitable for Cartoon Network. It had a majority Black cast. It was very controversial, very funny at times. If you kind of look past the top, layer of slapstick and things, the creator, Aaron McGruder, did some really, really layered concept. But if you didn't take time to really dissect that, all you saw was the surface level kind of comedy. But I think he did a great job with that show. But there hasn't been a show like that breaks the rule of three. And for those that don't know, the rule of three in most mainstream media is you can have any show, any movie, television show, live action or animated, video game, you name it. In any mainstream media type of media, as long as you have 3 Black characters, main cast characters, you're fine. It's something that can be accepted by the world. There's only 3 main characters, not support characters. As soon as you add a 4th main character, the consensus by the mainstream media is, oh, this must be targeted towards Black people. So now this is a Black show. And if you need proof, just look at any show, movie, The Avengers, billion-dollar franchise. Think of the main Black Avenger, not support character. You have Black Panther. You have Rhodes, War Machine. You have Falcon. Okay.
Marcus, didn't this change with Black Panther, which was an all-Black movie?
Oh yeah, well, again, that's on purpose. They said, we want to target a Black audience with Black Panther, and they did. They actually had a Black director. It was meant to target a Black audience, and that's what they did, and it was wildly successful because they did a great job and so forth. It wasn't perfect. It had some small things, but overall, they did a great job with that movie. But that's my point. Mainstream media says if you get past 3, you must be trying to target a Black audience. It's just called the rule of 3. Animation has yet to do what Boondock has done for a mainstream audience, especially for kids. We're more commonly used to a token character, Black character, where you have every other cast member is non-Black or brown. And that's okay. Apparently that's widely accepted. But if you flip that equation, that you have 5 Black characters and 1 token white character, now this show must be targeted towards Black people. Not fair, but that's the concept. And the fear is if Nickelodeon approved The Legend of Abiyoye, they would probably have a problem, creating something that was culturally and I guess you can say letting the driver drive. I wouldn't be the director because I've never directed animation. They wouldn't hire me to drive this. You know, they would take the characters and they would tweak it to no end. And they would get something that they felt is acceptable for their audiences or their mainstream audience. And it would probably come out terrible. It'd be the equivalent of hiring a non-French chef to cook French food. And it would, you know, they'd figure out some things. I think it's like this. I think you put this in. And they would put it out and say, yeah, do you like it? And most likely anyone from these African countries would probably be offended. Like Black Panther, unless you put someone that really has empathy and care for showcasing these cultures in an appropriate light, you're probably going to get a lot of backlash. So Black Panther did a great job. The director went to Africa. His costume designer, you know, went with him, you know, and they really took very detailed notes, and they were doing it with care and in an effort to respect those cultures. And so even if they came up with something that was not based in reality, Wakanda doesn't exist, it still was based in respect. To say, you know, the character in the movie that has the big bowl in his lip, there were some African Americans doing reviews that were offended by that, as if to say it's some sort of dig on Black people, like, oh, I can't believe they let a character with a bowl in his, but there are real cultures in Africa today that still practice this tradition. It is not offensive to them because it's their culture. So the directors putting that in did that out of respect for the real life culture that exists today. So Nickelodeon or Disney would, you know, it's kind of a toss up. I don't know if they would handle that.
Okay, maybe we have to think outside the box for this.
Right.
I'm hoping that there'll be some people watching who will have some solutions around this.
Yeah. Well, I gotta get rich. Gotta get really rich, and then I don't need them.
Well, you know what? We have some top producers and directors in the African American community. Maybe they should be looking at animation as well.
Oh yeah. Because if you have the money, you can go directly to an animation studio.
Yeah.
And animation is notoriously expensive. Just one episode can cost anywhere from $500,000 to $700,000.
Wow.
Or 20 or close to 30-minute episode.
Yeah.
You're looking to, you know, upwards of it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is why you don't see everyone getting into animation. It's just ridiculously.
Yeah, but I mean, even if your concept was turned into video games, there are so few video games out there which are featuring Black people. So few, you know?
Right.
And this is an area where you could shine. And
games,
one game makes $1 billion or more, you know?
Absolutely.
Even if it's, you know, $1 million to make, you'd whoever invested in it would definitely make the money.
Absolutely. Yeah, it would be.
Talent, and you can train the team around you.
Right. Yes, and hire out, you know, some of the greats that are in the industry. You can, you know, you can hire the people, the rock stars in the industry, if you have the money. But
yeah, sounds to me like you need to get in a room with some of these decision makers.
Absolutely.
Yeah? So you're going to be watching your progress. By next year, this time, you will kick down some doors, metaphorically.
Right, or build my own. I may have to, and that's okay. That's okay, because I can go around. You can actually succeed outside of the industry. That's Tuskegee Airs. We're comic artists. I mean, I should say we're a brand, a comic brand. And someone asked us, you know, how does it feel competing with, you know, Marvel and DC? I was like, we're not competing. We're playing the same sport, but they're in their league and we're in ours. We don't compete. You know, we play professional street ball. Yeah. You know, Marvel and DC, that's the NFL.
So what's the reach of Tuskegee Airs?
You said the reach?
The reach, yeah. Who's the audience?
Well, we designed it, and I say we, I create Tuskegee Airs alongside my business partner, Greg Burnham. We've been working together for over 20 years. We co-write the story. We come up with the story together. I do the art for the book and stuff. But the reach, we came up with the idea in a conversation, and it started with how to respect history, how to pay homage to history, and have something that was as wide-reaching, all ages as possible. So we created the brand with, can we go into a fourth grade classroom? Can we go into a 12th grade classroom? Can we interest adults? And, all of these three, demographics, we've proven to have achieved that. I've been in front of many fourth graders and shown them this and shown them the brand, and they're just as excited as, we have a 60-year-old cosplayer who cosplays as this young lady with the red glasses here, Genesis. And she had the actual real person. She has dreads. She wears glasses, and she's like, it was a no-brainer for her. So she came up to the table dressed as Genesis, one of our pilots, and she was tearing up, saying there was no characters that looked like her when she was growing up. And the reach is supposed to be as wide as possible. If you love history,
cultural? Is it cross-cultural? Is it white, black, Asians interested in?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Our team, I can give you the elevator pitch. So the Tuskegee Airs is a futuristic sci-fi action adventure that's set 80 years from now, and it follows a squadron of kids who are being instructed by a descendant of the Tuskegee Airmen. The caveat is that they're trying to practice and learn to fly in a future where manned flight is illegal. So they are well under the radar, and they're based in the same air base that the Tuskegee Airmen in Molten Field, Alabama. So they actually are being trained by a descendant of the Tuskegee Airmen, Colonel Mars. He has some insight that something is about to go really wrong with the government. He doesn't know exactly, but his fears come to reality when these giant mechanized robots start attacking the world, cities around the world, and no one knows why. So the kids become the last line of defense because they're the only clandestine, squadron of, air defense. And they get a hold of some amazing jets that transform into giant robots themselves individually. Yeah, so it combines the history, the Tuskegee Airmen, and with the futuristic sci-fi, but the kids have a mission that take them around the globe, and we highlight lesser known civilizations and cultures that should be known. There's, for instance, in the second issue, they go to Mexico and they come across the Olmec head. And it's unfortunate. There's adults that have no idea what the Olmec heads are, if they've never heard of it. And it should be in our history book. It should be in, elementary and high school, but it's not. Olmec heads are as predate, Columbus stumbling upon, North America and all that good stuff. And they look like, if you Google it, they look like, Black people or African peoples, carve these statues. They have large lips, wide noses. They even have, dreads or braids in their hair. And we highlight that because we want it to be a brand that if the family is reading together, if the kids can read it and the parents can read it, and still be entertained, but there's real information in there that may shock or, be new information for even the adults. We want them to, as together, be able to Google and say, wait, Olmec heads, what's that? And now we've introduced something that teaches, it's entertaining, and it's futuristic at the same time.
Okay, great. So that needs to be made into a movie too then, yeah?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, wow. So
yeah, we started with the idea for it to be animated. We want it to be streamed on the Netflixes or whoever else will take it.
Okay. So at the moment it's a comic.
Yeah, the comics.
Okay, all right. Do you ship to the UK?
We will, yeah.
Okay, all right then. Well, I'm going to put the links to where people can get your products,
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
video.
Concierge.com was the website.
Oh
I
wow.
got a shirt
Oh,
on. There we go.
and you wear the
Tuskegee.
t-shirt. Oh
Yeah.
wow, look at you. Oh wow, it's good marketing.
I got to do that.
Oh, well, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely.
Honestly,
Thank you.
it's great to know, that such talent is out there, and we're looking for great things from you, Marcus.
Thank you so much. I
So we're going
appreciate
to
it.
check in on you every few months, see what's
Okay.
new.
All right. Yes, you can follow me on Marcus the Visual.
Yeah.
Social networks are pretty much what Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I don't know what to do with TikTok yet. I have a TikTok, but I don't dance, so I don't know what to put on there yet. I'm working on it. I think I can do some art videos.
Yeah.
So we're working
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do a little dance while you're doing it. That
I
seems to
guess. I guess.
you good? That seems to be what most people do on TikTok.
Right.
A
Right.
little
I
dance.
can maybe I can do reaction videos. I've seen those. We'll see. We'll work on it. But I'm on those platforms, and my website is, of course, marcusthevisual.com.
Okay. Have you influenced your family in terms of art, or any of them also doing art?
Yeah. Well, both my kids draw. My daughter has adhered to it far more passionately than my son, but they both draw. They're both actually phenomenal at drawing, way better than I was at their age.
Oh wow.
My daughter's 15,
Hmm.
and I got them both iPads so they can work in Procreate. It's a new art program that's really powerful. And I mean, I have to check in and see, because like from month to month, her skill is just jumping and jumping and jumping. I'm like, you drew this?
Really?
Oh, my child, I love you. So great. This is really good. Um, because she listens.
She knows how to get daddy's praise.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm gonna hire both of them. I told them they already got a job. So I need someone else to color and do all this character work. You're not gonna go work for a grocery store or a movie theater like I did. You're gonna, start building your portfolio. Going to be independent art, and make your own T-shirt, your own poster. Come
Fantastic.
with me to the shows,
Yeah.
so you can learn how to independently support.
Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds brilliant. So have they got their own Instagrams where they're showing their own art?
Oh gosh, no,
Not
no.
yet.
I don't believe the internet is safe for kids by themselves.
How old are
Uh,
they, by the way?
and my son wanted to do the gaming video,
Oh.
and he wanted to record himself. I was like, no, no. He's like, why? What's the big deal? I was like, well, there's these things called adults online, and they're mean,
Hmm.
and they, giving access to giving the world access to my son. And there's just really terrible people on the internet.
I hear you.
And,
I hear you.
I said it doesn't matter how wholesome and pure your content is, son. There's going to be a mean adult, some terrible person. Could
Hmm.
be a mean kid.
Hmm.
And I don't want to go to jail. So I was like, let's just hold on. I said, you can record the videos
Hmm.
if you like, but no posting on YouTube where your
Okay.
face is on there, and
Yeah. So you're
not going to
protecting
happen.
them. Okay, that's fair enough. How old are they?
15 and 13. My son will be 14 in December. Yeah.
Gosh, you've done amazing to keep them off the internet all that time.
Yeah, well, see, they have access to Pinterest and things like that, because Pinterest is just a whole bunch of wonderful inspiration. So I'm like, it's a great place to find some inspiration.
Hmm.
It's I don't really know how to communicate on Pinterest. I think you can. I'm sure you can. I don't know how, so they don't know how. So, but they get inspiration, and they can find images to draw from.
Hmm.
But no Instagram, no Facebook, no hardcore, I'm gonna post what I feel
Hmm.
kind of thing. No,
Okay.
not until they're closer to 17, 18.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, okay. You know best, Daddy. You know best. It's been great speaking to you.
Been a
Uh,
pleasure.
it's just an inspiration So thank you so much for what you do, and hopefully there'll be people who will contact you, who will buy your art, buy your comics, or who will come to you for lessons.
Yes, please.
So when you're doing those webinars, then just let us know. We'll help push them for you as well.
Definitely. And my app is out on the Apple and Android market now.
Okay.
It's like a version 1 so far, so don't judge too harshly. I'm going to clean up the place and make it all sparkly soon.
Okay.
I haven't added those tutorials and videos as much as I want to, but the framework is there. You can visit some of the areas in there and see where I'm going with it. But yeah, there's going to be some good stuff in the coming month. Yeah.
All right, then, great. All right, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, you too.
All right, and we'll stay in touch. Take care.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The aim and the objectives here at Goggle and Giggle to see more children and more adults like myself in the water feeling confident and swimming is the only sport that can save your life and someone else's life.